Good afternoon from the Ruby Room at Cornell Public Library. I'm Miss Jennifer, and for today's Tinker Tuesday, we're going to do Q-tip pointillism. So first we're going to go over the supplies you need, then we'll do the activity, and at the end I'm going to talk a little bit about pointillism. Okay, so first up, what do you need to do this little art experiment? You're going to need paint. You're going to need to decide what your image is going to look like. So that'll be based on, your colors will be based on what you decide you're going to make. So you can do all the colors, or you can just do the colors you're going to need for your image, whatever works for you. You're going to need Q-tips, one for each color. And then of course you're going to need paper. I prefer thicker cardstock, but any paper will work. So the first thing you're going to do before you even start painting is you're going to plan out and decide what you're going to paint. So pointillism, we'll go into it more later, but basically it's creating an image using tiny dots, and that's why we're going to be using the Q-tip to color it in, and basically from up close you can see the individual dots, but farther away it looks like one whole image. So next up, we're going to come a little bit closer. I'm going to do a sunset, and we're going to do that next. I'm probably going to do a time lapse because it'll take time to lay every single dot down. If you want, before you start painting, you can do like a rough sketch of what you want to do with like pencil and then fill it in. So you want, if you decide to do a tree, you're going to do your tree and your trunk and then fill it all in with the little dots. So you might want to sketch it out or do some planning before you go in for the actual thing. So that is up to you. The other thing I recommend before you get started is to think about shades. So I have, I'm going to do a sunset over the ocean, so I have two colors of blue so that I can show waves. So think about shading. Like if you do a tree, you could do it just the same shade of green, but if you have a lighter and a darker shade, it gives it more life and texture. So those are just some tips before you get started. So next up, we're going to get a closer look, and I'm going to do a time lapse of me creating my image. All right, stay tuned for that. All right, here's the finished artwork. So as you can see, it makes a whole picture when you look at it from far away. But when you bring it up close, you can see all the different dots that make the image. So stay tuned, we're going to talk a little bit more about pointillism coming up next. Okay, welcome back. So here is our finished product. You can do whatever you like and do whatever image you want. I would recommend, if you can see, like I did some very spaced out dots down here. I think the tighter dots I did up higher look a little bit better. Other than that, I think it turned out pretty good. So This is a fun little example of some simple pointillism using our Q-tips. So as I said, pointillism is an art movement. Usually art movements are about subjects, but pointillism is actually about the technique. And it comes considered part of the post-impressionism era. And so here is another example of an actual artwork. I don't know if you can see, but this is comprised of tiny, tiny, tiny dots. And this is, title of this painting is Sunday on the Island of La Grande Jatte. So yeah, so pointillism, the point is to use all these tiny, tiny little dots, and from up close you can see the individual dots that make up the image, but from far away your brain kind of fills it in so that it doesn't see the individual dots anymore, it sees the complete image. Same thing on this one, our dots are really small, but it's harder to tell that it's made of dots from farther away, as opposed to really up close when you can really see the individual parts that make it up. So I hope you guys had fun learning a little bit about pointillism and this little fun little art technique. Next week is, of course, our engineering challenge, and next week is to build a balloon-powered car. So you can pick up those kits this week at the circulation desk, and next week we'll talk about that. And that'll be actually the last Tinker Tuesday for the year, and then we'll be getting ready for the summer, so there will be no more Tinker Tuesdays until the fall. So stay tuned next time for our last Tinker Tuesday and our last engineering challenge of the school year. All right, see you then. Bye.